Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bloomberg UK, a special focus on the biggest challenges facing the British government, the economy, financial services and markets. I'm Francine Lacqua here in London. Now, the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is the latest world leader to arrive in Israel following US President Biden and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. He's set to hold meetings with the country's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Isaac Herzog. Well, Sunak's visit comes after US President Biden signaled full backing for Israel.
We're going to make sure you have what you need to protect your people, to defend your nation. For decades, we've ensured Israel's qualitative military edge. And later this week, I'm going to ask the United States Congress for an unprecedented support package for Israel's defense.
Let's now get the latest from Bloomberg's Oliver Crook in Tel Aviv. Ollie, this is just the latest diplomatic effort to try and contain the impact, of course, on the war. The United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Guterres, is also due in Egypt today. What can UK Prime Minister actually achieve?
That's right. We also have James Cleverly, who's been bouncing around the region as well, and that follows just a week of Secretary Blinken going all around. So all of this shuttle diplomacy, but key that Biden was not able to make it to Jordan yesterday. But let's deal with Rishi Sunak in the country today. So as you say, he'll meet with leadership here, and I think that what you'll hear from Sunak is similar to what you've heard from a lot of Western leaders, with maybe a bit more nuance, with each of them contributing slightly differently. But what we heard from Biden yesterday, which is basically unflinching support for Israel, and again, this sort of deterrence factor, one that can be really summarized from the United States standpoint in a single word, which is don't. A single word that is backed by two aircraft carrier groups that are headed for the eastern Mediterranean right now. And then there is this third question, and this is really where everyone wants to see progress made, and that is the question of aid. Getting aid through the southern border of Gaza, through Rafah, from Egypt into Gaza, where there are literally hundreds of tons of aid just sitting there. We've heard some positive sounds from the Israeli side, positive sounds from the Egyptian side, but today that aid still sits there, and we had a resolution overnight put forward to the UN to kind of create a sort of ceasefire or a safe zone to get that aid in. It was vetoed by the United States because that resolution did not include a part that stood for Israeli self-defense.
So, Oliver, Biden's speech was really pretty unwavering in terms of support for Israel. Does that complicate things for Rishi Sunak?
I think to a certain degree, because we hear this from the President of the United States, and really when you hear that message in Israel, it is taken obviously very positively by the people here, but within the region more broadly, it's seen as the U.S. as just a proxy for Israel. And so we have to think about what in that speech was there for the rest of the region, particularly since the diplomatic leg of that trip to Jordan was canceled. One thing that I found interesting was his reference to 9/11, where he said the United States sought justice after 9/11, but it made many mistakes. And he's cautioning Israel about how they go about dismantling Hamas, and that they need to stay clear-eyed on their objectives, and they need to also question, as they go down that path, is the path they're going down actually achieving those objectives? And I will also say the thing that he mentioned at the end of his speech is that really what he seemed to suggest was the only way you're going to get a durable political solution to this problem is with a two-state solution.
So what's next?
So we're hearing, again, we'll listen for anything that we hear from Rishi Sunak today, and we'd like to hear what his tone is, what his conversations are with the Prime Minister here in Israel, if there's any progress made there. There's also the potential for a summit in Egypt of Arab leaders. We've heard about that a little bit. It's been reported by Egyptian media. We don't have a huge amount of detail, but that would take place on Saturday. And then, of course, maybe the biggest thing we're watching for is Biden's speech tonight, planned at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, from the Oval Office. That is a space in which the president speaks really when he has something very important to convey. And we understand from Bloomberg reporting that he wants to put a $100 billion package before Congress to deal, one, with support for Israel, but also for Ukraine. And let's not forget also some of the other issues, which is the U.S. border, which are being sort of rolled up into this bill.
Ollie, thanks so much. Oliver Crook there in Tel Aviv for us now. For more on the story, let's also bring Bloomberg's EMEA News Director Ros Mathieson. Ros, we were also commenting, of course, on President Biden's visit yesterday. What are you expecting from Rishi Sunak? I don't know if there's that much influence that the European leaders can bring at this point.
Well, that has been the question. How much influence can Europe bring in this moment? That does not stopping, of course, officials from going there, including, of course, the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. There's talk of the French President Emmanuel Macron. We know there are defense ministers and foreign ministers from countries including Germany already in the region, including in places like Egypt, Lebanon, and Jordan. And that's all about trying to make sure that this conflict doesn't spread, to talk to these leaders, to understand where they're coming from, the pressures they may be facing, these Arab leaders in some of these states, from their own people, and how, above all, they can stop this spiraling in the event that Israel does unleash a full ground war inside Gaza. The question, of course, what can these leaders do? Well, not necessarily very much. We saw the US president with his visit. All he managed to get out of that in the end really was an agreement on the way back to allow 20 trucks of aid potentially to start going through the border crossing between Egypt and Gaza. We don't know what was said behind the scenes, of course, in his meetings. But right now, what we do know is it seems like the intent of Israel, regardless of all of this, is to have some kind of ground invasion of Gaza before too long.
Ros, when you look at United Nations Secretary General, he's also due in Egypt on Thursday. Can he make a meaningful difference, maybe of dialogue?
The key thing with him really is probably the movement of humanitarian aid. Of course, we've seen that initial agreement for 20 trucks. We don't know when those trucks might start moving. The problem with that, of course, is that the conditionality is that none of those trucks can fall into the hands of Hamas, none of that aid. And how you do that when Gaza is controlled by Hamas remains to be seen. So that could be a short-lived exercise, and that means that aid will remain blocked up at that border crossing. No one, of course, is moving the other way. So the intent of the UN and others is probably to try and negotiate some sort of way to get more aid going in, potentially to allow people who are in Gaza to leave. The Egyptians don't want them coming in great number into Egypt either. So how do you secure that? These are very, very difficult and complex issues to negotiate. But at least you can see that there's lots of leaders there, lots of officials there pressing for some kind of movement. The most urgent one, of course, though, is getting that aid in.
Who can actually unite the region a little bit more? So we thought that one of the goals of President Biden was also to get Arab leaders on side. That didn't happen. Is there anyone else who could do it?
Well, of course, there is sort of some calls on countries like Russia and China to use their clout, particularly with countries like Iran, to get them to make sure they stay out of the fray. But this is a region that is riven by complexities of history, culture, religion, that go back many, many years. There's not been unity in the region for a long time. We've seen conflict erupting in different periods. But what was the intent in recent years was to knit the region together economically, very much to have Saudi Arabia and Israel particularly doing business and trade with each other. The idea is if you connect everybody enough in terms of trade, business, investment, that you prevent conflict from breaking out. Obviously, those ideas of normalization of ties, they're now just totally off the table.
Ros, the visit of Rishi Sunak to Israel, does that have any significance politically inside the UK, inside the country? I know there's a number of publications that are saying it also maybe signals a UK shift towards European mainstream politics. How do you view it?
Well, certainly every country is concerned about what's been happening with Israel and inside Gaza as well. But the UK, like many other countries around the world, does have sort of deep cultural questions around that. And we've seen those discussions going on in the UK as we've seen them in Europe. We've seen concerns around some evidence of rising anti-Semitism in places. We've seen some evidence of that. We've also seen equally concerns around Muslim populations in parts of Europe, including in the UK, going to start to be targeted. So what you're seeing, obviously, is the UK, like other countries, trying to balance that line between expressing support for Israel in this moment in the aftermath of that attack by Hamas, but also expressing concern about the humanitarian situation inside Gaza. And so Rishi Sunak, like every other leader in Europe and elsewhere and in the US, is having to sort of walk that line. And obviously there may be some political commentary about his comments and his interactions today in Israel. That remains to be seen.
Ros, thanks so much. Ros Mathieson there with the very latest, of course, on Hamas, Israel. Coming up, we talk more about the conflict and what this means for inflation. We do look at some of the main indicators that suggest that food prices have come down. Of course, Full English Breakfast will focus on that as well. It looks like everything else in the shop is still very expensive, apart from certain components of food. We'll discuss what it means for the UK economy next. This is Bloomberg. Economics, finance, politics. This is Bloomberg UK and Francine Lacqua here in London. Now, the latest economic data from the UK this week shows that inflation remains sticky. So what would another economic shock potentially triggered by tensions in the Middle East actually mean for the country? Well, joining us now is Nina Skero, Chief Executive Officer for the Center of Economics and Business Research, and Bloomberg economist Anna Andrade. Thank you both for joining us. Nina, when you look at, again, the complexity of inflation, the complexity of how we measure it, the fact that we had labor market pressures, but that inflation actually could come down as soon as could cut down less than expected. What does this renewed geopolitical concern mean?
It's definitely a risk in the coming months. It's just another complexity for the Bank of England and the MPC to keep in mind as they go into their next meeting. There's been a lot of noise. So we've had the inflation data. We were meant to have the labor market data. Now, into that already complex picture, we have the added question marks around the quality, the reliability of the labor market data, given that a part of it, the publication, had to be delayed by a week. So it's really a mixed bag. And now, on top of that, there is definitely risks to inflation ticking up again if energy prices go up. But what is relatively certain is that probably October will see that downtick, which still makes me think we will see a hold from the Bank of England.
Yeah, and actually, if you look at market pricing, so Nina's expecting a hold from the Bank of England. It's kind of jumping around quite a lot. I think if you look at certainly the G7 countries, it's one of the central bank sets where expectations are more uncertain than others. What's your take, Anna, on what happens next for the Bank of England?
Well, hi, good morning. We think that the Bank of England will hold at the next meeting. It has so far, the data has so far, I think, played in its favor. It's true that you had inflation kind of sticking at 6.7%. We got that yesterday. But within that reading, we also saw that the rise in services inflation was driven by volatile components that the BOE was actually expecting. So, the CPI data maybe, wasn't in line with what we expected, economists, but overall, it's not a reading that will lead the committee to panic. And then if you look at the other flow of data, so you had GDP that is on track to come below the BOE's forecast. You had the first clear signs that wage pressures are easing, together with the CPI inflation. And we know that the BOE is more concerned about the impact on the economy and about the impact of its policies. We actually think that, there won't be really a case to hike at the next meeting.
Nina, when you look at actually, the UK inflation staying higher than expected after, oil prices have jumped. And it's interesting that both you and Anna actually don't expect a big change or any change at the next meeting. What does a policy mistake look like?
It'll probably still take us a few months, if not longer, to know that in hindsight that was a mistake. But that is probably some of the thinking that is now leading the MPC. They're probably thinking to themselves, it's a difficult decision to make, but holding and then starting to hike again would be better than hiking now and then having to cut in not too long. So they're probably saying, let's see, we're still seeing the housing market impacts. We're still seeing the hikes that have already happened trickle into the economic impact. So let's hold, let's see. And if it turns out to be a mistake, it could be a lesser mistake than over hiking and then cutting.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. First of all, I'm looking at money market wagers. And again, further rate hikes held broadly steady because they're placing a 30% chance on a quarter-point increase next month and more than a 60% probability of such a move by early next year. Anna, is it all actually about credibility, that what they don't want to do, whatever happens, is then have to do a 180 turn?
I think we still need to see what the data looks like. I think the BOE we're at the stage where we're getting very positive news on the inflation. It's on a clear downward trend. We're also seeing signs that the economy is weakening. So this is progress for the BOE. It's reason to keep rates on hold. Now, if it's reason, I don't think it's enough reason for them to change their message of higher for longer, just because the BOE's goal is to get to 2%. And we're not even close in terms of inflation of getting there. So I think the BOE will have to kind of, it will have to strike a very hard balance between, getting inflation to convert to the 2% target while the economy is weakening. So I think that will be the challenge, next year for the BOE, because we're already seeing that's happening. But, we only expect inflation to really hit 2% in early 2025. So the BOE will just have to hold for longer.
Nina, overall, does the UK actually just have a stronger labour market that's more difficult to be hurt, like we've seen in the US, because of the dynamics of the UK?
The labour market has proven surprisingly resilient. Now, the Bank of England officials have actually in recent days been very keen to point out that they think some of the very high readings in terms of wage rises are to call them an outliner and to say, the information coming out of the labour force survey isn't really supported by some other trackers of what's happening in the labour market. But it is definitely true that the UK has, especially London, has a labour market that is very dependent on foreign labour. And that has definitely dried up, partially because of Brexit, but really more during the pandemic. A lot of people left. They haven't come back. So there are those dynamics that the UK uniquely is seeing that I do think are keeping the labour market unusually strong, whilst other parts of the economy weaken more substantially.
And how much actually of inflation are we importing from China and the US? The US is still very strong, and China seems to be reopening with consumer demand not only holding up, but actually accelerating.
Yeah, I think how to look at inflation right now is that you have the risk of higher oil prices, but what it's really dominating, and we've seen this over the past couple of releases, is that core goods. There's been a lot of progress in core goods disinflation and also in food. So those kind of external pressures that drove a lot of and explained a lot of the inflation, maybe in 2021, 2022, they're now clearly fading. I think the key thing to look at is services. And services inflation is still very high, but we also need to see that wage growth is easing. And going back to the point about the labor market, actually the UK, compared to the euro area or the US, is the only economy that's really showing signs of a sustained increase in the unemployment rate. So if it's right that the labor market is cooling, wages are easing, and then that should then translate to services. And services is really what the BOE is looking at.
How much do you think, Nina, we're importing inflation from elsewhere, that things are actually, beyond the control of the Bank of England and the government?
Some elements of it will be beyond their control. On the other hand, you could say that then following that argument that, if things there slow down, then that would put less pressure on the Bank of England. But I think in the immediate future, the Bank of England will maybe have, to say, a relatively easy months. There's probably going to be some good news on inflation in the coming months. But then getting that inflation, if we still see it at the end of this year, we're expecting to still see it at around 4.6%. That's double target. And then the hard part will have bringing it from that level down back to target. And I still think that'll be a multi-year journey, so to speak.
Nina, very quickly, I know this straddles a little bit of politics, but actually, if there were a price of oil going significantly higher, can the UK government support families that need it most? Or is there just a huge deficit problem?
Well, I think, if it comes to that, they will probably need to find the resources to do so. The fiscal situation wasn't great when the Russia-Ukraine conflict started, and there was still a definite need to support families that needed help with their bills. So I think, and especially given that we're probably heading into an election year, the government might not have too much choice, even though it will mean some difficult fiscal decisions.
Nina and Anna, thank you both so much for joining us. Nina Skero, the Chief Executive Officer of the Center for Economics and Business Research, and Bloomberg economist Anna Andrade. Coming up, back at the helm, London has recaptured its crown as Europe's largest stock market from Paris. So what's driving up the FTSE? We'll discuss that next. And this is Bloomberg. So So London has recaptured its crown as Europe's largest stock market from Paris. Surging crude oil are boosting stocks like Shell and BP alike, pushing the FTSE 100 higher. Now, Bloomberg's Joe Easton has worked on the story. So, Joe, first of all, London reclaiming the top spot. That's good news.
So, good news. Kind of good news for me because I don't have to check the data every day anymore to watch it, wait for it to take over as well.
I'm sure you do, actually, in case it goes back down.
Yeah, exactly. So as you mentioned, the oil price coming up has been beneficial for companies like Shell, BP. The pound weakening, obviously you were talking about inflation in the earlier segment there. Although the data yesterday was a bit hotter than expected, it is coming down, so the pound's weakened, helping the exporters. And also there's the French angle with LVMH, Kering, all of those stocks declining because of the worries about aspirational buyers, so it's benefited London.
Does this actually matter? So we had a whole podcast actually with Julie Hoggett of the LSE, and she really pushed back and says, look, the negative narrative about the LSE or the FTSE or the UK is just not helpful for anyone. But do people say, oh, it's a bigger market cap, I'm going to list in London? Rather, does it actually drive business?
Well, we've obviously lost a few big listings. So obviously ARM went to New York, potentially not that surprising given it's a tech company. So the Nasdaq's obviously attractive for them. The other thing to note is that this number that we track is only primary listings. So it's companies, their first listing. Companies also have secondary listings. And when you take into account the secondary listings, London is much, much bigger than Paris still, by far bigger. And I think that's what the LSE boss was alluding to in your podcast.
So overall, what could potentially derail, I guess, this outperformance by the FTSE?
So if the global economy goes into a recession, then you would expect even the companies on the FTSE 100, like the safe stocks like Reckitt or the drug companies, even them will see earnings decline on the margin. Also, the oil price potentially no longer boosting those stocks as they are at a very high level now.
No. OK, Joe, thank you so much. Joe Easton there with the very latest on the FTSE. Now, be sure to subscribe to Bloomberg's In the City podcast that I host alongside David Merritt and Allegra Stratton on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes drop every Thursday.